All right, let's dive in. Today we're tackling the Taiwanese horror film Incantation.
Oh, this one's a real head trip.
Yeah, I felt kind of messed up after watching it.
It's a fascinating mix for sure.
So our goal is to get to the bottom of Incantation, understand its cultural roots, and figure out why so many people say it feels, well, cursed.
Right off the bat, what grabs you about Incantation is how it messes with your sense of reality. It's not just watching a movie. It feels like you're part of some ritual.
That's what really freaked me out. Like, just watching means I'm somehow involved.
It totally breaks that fourth wall. It talks directly to you, the viewer. It even suggests that sharing the curse weakens its power, inviting you to chant along.
It's like it wants you to participate in this unholy ceremony.
Exactly. The movie plays with that primal fear, the unknown, the feeling that something's out there and you're powerless to stop it. And it's not just jump scares, it's this constant creeping dread that seeps into you.
Oh, totally. It gets under your skin way more effectively than some monster popping out.
Incantation makes you feel like something's watching you, waiting.
Way creepier than a jump scare. And speaking of creepy, can we talk about the Wu family case? The YouTube videos about it are intense.
Yeah, the 2005 case of the Wu family in Taiwan. A truly tragic and disturbing story. A family claiming to be possessed, engaging in these bizarre rituals, and ultimately their eldest daughter died under very mysterious circumstances.
Okay, so let's break it down. The videos talk about salt and rice all over their house, and stuff that honestly is too messed up to even repeat, and self-harm.
Incantation borrows heavily from the case. The disturbing rituals, the themes of possession, and the fact that no one really knows what happened.
So it's inspired by real-life horror, but with its own unique twist.
Exactly. The curse, the deity, those are specific to the film.
One of the YouTubers mentioned that the director, Kevin Ko, was fascinated by how the internet spreads fear, especially about contagious curses. That adds a whole other layer to this.
Oh, absolutely. But this fear of contagious curses is ancient. Think about it. Cursed objects, haunted places. These stories help us deal with the unknown, give some order to a chaotic world.
Makes sense. It's like by naming our fears, we have some control, even if it's an illusion.
Precisely. And Incantation really plays with this through its use of found footage.
Found footage.
It makes you feel like you're watching a cursed artifact, becoming part of the curse just by watching it.
Yeah, you're right. It's like those warnings you sometimes see online. Don't watch this video at night.
Right. Found footage can be hit or miss, but Incantation does it so well.
So what makes it so effective? I mean, lots of movies try that found footage thing.
The pacing, the atmosphere. It builds this slow, agonizing tension. It pulls you into this world of disturbing rituals and leaves you with that chilling sense of dread.
No cheap jump scares, just pure psychological torment.
The director, Kevin Ko, really knows how to use claustrophobic camera work, the interplay of light and shadow. It all adds to the unease.
We talked about cultural context, too, and those articles you sent about Taiwanese folklore. Ancestral worship, spirit mediums, talismans. It's a lot to unpack. How does all that add to the horror?
Taiwan's got this incredible blend of Buddhist, Taoist, indigenous traditions, all woven together.
Right, and there's that emphasis on the spirit world. Good spirits, bad spirits.
Exactly. And it's not just window dressing in Incantation. The horror is grounded in something tangible, something real in their culture. It makes it hit harder for those familiar with these beliefs.
Okay, so we've skirted around the real-life case. Time to take a deeper dive into that. Those YouTube videos paint a pretty harrowing picture of what the Wu family went through.
Definitely. But we need to keep in mind that their actions, as disturbing as they are, come from a genuine belief in the spirit world.
They were trying to control what they couldn't see, forces they were convinced were real.
Right. So let's go back to the beginning. It all starts in February 2005 with what seems like harmless nightmares. Sister C, the youngest daughter, starts having these vivid dreams.
Nightmares, huh?
But she's not just dreaming about monsters or anything. She's dreaming about the third prince, a deity that's supposed to be a protector.
Okay, that's already creepy.
And these dreams, they come with headaches, insomnia. Her parents believe her soul is leaving her body.
Soul leaving her body.
So they do what's common in Taiwanese culture. They send her for a soul-calling ritual.
That's where things take a turn, right?
Yeah. And during the ritual, she claims the third prince delivered a message. He warned them that her older sister, Sister A, who was living in Taipei at the time, was in grave danger. Imagine getting that news from a god who's supposed to be a protector.
I'd be freaked out for sure.
So the mom rushes to Taipei, bring Sister A back home, but the nightmares don't stop.
They spread.
Yeah, now Sister A starts having terrifying dreams filled with violence and blood.
Contagious nightmares, like
Yeah.
something out of a horror movie. Wait, I guess it is a horror movie.
And it gets worse. Sister A's behavior starts to change. She's hitting herself, scratching her face. They even have to tie her up to restrain her.
I mean, that sounds extreme, but in their minds, they were probably trying to help her, right?
Absolutely. They believed an evil spirit had possessed her, and they needed to expel it.
And they thought that moving a statue of the third prince in their house had somehow angered him, making their house vulnerable.
It shows how deeply their belief system influenced their actions. And it's a belief system that sees the spirit world as constantly present, constantly influencing their lives.
Right, so one wrong move, and bam, you've invited something evil into your home.
So they take Sister A to a temple for another cleansing ritual. And for a little while it seems to work. But then a single phone call throws everything into chaos.
The phone call.
Sister A announces she's not herself anymore. She claims to be the goddess of mercy.
Wait, but isn't she like a good goddess? The benevolent one?
Yes, in Taiwanese Buddhism and folk religion, the goddess of mercy is revered as a symbol of compassion and protection.
Okay, but I guess for them, any kind of possession, good or bad, was bad news.
Exactly. They saw it as a sign of spiritual imbalance, and this is where things escalate. They decide to travel to the Five-Finger Mountain, a place steeped in folklore.
A place of power.
Very much so. And in Taiwanese belief, mountains are seen as dwelling places for spirits, both good and evil.
So they're not just hiking up a mountain, they're entering a spiritual battleground.
Precisely. And the videos detail their rituals: salt and rice, incense burning, special cloths hung to ward off evil. They were trying to cleanse themselves, their surroundings, their very souls.
But it all seemed to backfire, right? Because when they returned, things went from bad to worse. And each family member starts claiming to be possessed by a different deity, like some kind of spiritual domino effect.
Yeah.
It's like they were creating their own pantheon of possessed deities.
Yeah, the father became the Jade Emperor, the mother, the Queen Mother of the West. Each sister embodied a different goddess. Even the young brother joined in, claiming to be the drunken monk.
And their actions got even more extreme as the delusion took hold.
Convinced that being dirty would repel the spirits, they started smearing themselves and the house with, well, excrement.
The videos show that. It's disturbing. Plates of feces, walls covered. I can't even imagine the smell, what was going through their minds.
They were trying to make their environment repulsive, to drive out the evil. A twisted form of purification, fueled by fear and desperation.
And there's violence too, right? The videos mention that.
Sadly, yes. They beat each other with whatever they could find. Broomsticks, mops, even burning incense.
They were trying to exorcise a demon, not just hurt each other.
In their minds, they were trying to save each other from this evil force. Their actions, however misguided, came from a place of, well, love and responsibility.
It's just tragic to think they did all this in the name of family. And in the middle of all this chaos, Sister A died.
Officially, multiple organ failure, probably from starvation and, well, dog-consuming feces. But for the family, it was a victory. They'd driven out the demon.
Wow. That's messed up. They found relief in her death because they believed she wasn't herself anymore. What happened after that? The videos mention police getting involved, the family disappearing, then showing up at a temple miles away.
Right. A neighbor finally called the police. They must have seen something really disturbing to call the cops.
Makes you wonder what that neighbor saw.
When the police arrived, the house was deserted. Sister A's body, salt and rice everywhere. Bowls of those water-soaked talismans. Just a scene of utter chaos.
Can you imagine being one of those police officers walking into that?
The cops started a missing person investigation, and 3 days later they found the rest of the family at a temple miles away. Bruised, burned, but alive.
Did they ever try to explain what happened?
The father wouldn't talk. He said demons would haunt him if he revealed any secrets. The mother, though, she told this fragmented story, full of paranoia and delusion.
Like she was still caught in that nightmare.
In the interrogation footage, it's chilling. She keeps saying it wasn't her daughter who died, it was the demon attached to her.
So they created this whole narrative to justify their actions, even the death of their daughter.
Exactly. And they believed it. A psychiatrist evaluated them and said they were suffering from shared delusion, a kind of collective psychosis.
What caused that? I mean, how does a whole family fall into that?
Lots of things likely contributed. Their existing belief in the supernatural, the stress, the sleep deprivation, those constant rituals. It all built up, and their minds just snapped.
But even with all that, they insisted they were the victims.
Yeah, and legally, there wasn't enough to prove otherwise. The burns, the bruises weren't life-threatening, and Sister A's death, in the end, was considered self-inflicted, so they got charged with abandoning a corpse, a minor crime.
They basically got away with it. After all that trauma, after their daughter's death, they just went back to their lives.
Pretty much. They disappeared from public view, no more incidents reported.
It's like a ghost story in itself. The family that was haunted, tormented, then vanished. This whole thing just messes with your head. It makes you wonder, where does belief end and reality begin? And sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we create ourselves. It really makes you think, doesn't it? The line between belief and reality, how easily it can blur. And both Incantation and the Wu family story really highlight that.
Yeah, and one of the things that makes Incantation so powerful is that it doesn't just rely on jump scares or gore. It's the atmosphere, the pacing.
It's like it seeps into you.
The director, Kevin Ko, he's a master at building that slow, creeping tension, drawing you into this world of disturbing rituals, chanting, and that constant feeling like something's watching you.
It's that found footage style too, right? You feel like you're watching something you shouldn't be, like some forbidden home movie documenting a family's descent into madness.
Exactly. And Ko doesn't just throw in random spooky stuff.
Yeah.
He uses elements from Taiwanese folklore, ritual, things that are actually meaningful in their culture.
Yeah, like that red 8 trigram symbol that keeps popping up.
Right. In Taoism, that symbol's supposed to represent balance,
Yeah.
protection. But in the film, it's twisted, corrupted. It becomes a symbol of the curse itself.
It's like he takes familiar symbols and flips their meaning, making you question their power. Which brings us back to the Wu family. Their belief system, their understanding of the spirit world, it shaped everything they did.
It's a tragic story, no doubt. And it's important to remember we're talking about real people, people who believed in the vulnerability of the soul, how it could be lost or stolen, especially during times of sickness or distress.
Right. That's why they sent Sister C for that soul-calling ritual when she started having nightmares.
They truly believed they were helping her. It's a chilling thought. It shows how twisted their reality had become.
And then they just disappear. The police investigation, the temple, it's a chapter closed, but the book was never finished.
We're left with these unanswered questions.
Right.
Was it possession? Shared delusion? Was there something else going on we'll never understand?
I think that's what's so unsettling about both the Wu family case and the film. They force us to confront those primal fears, the things we can't explain.
Incantation does it through cinematic tricks, blurring fiction and reality. The Wu family story reminds us that sometimes real life can be more terrifying than any movie.
It's been a wild deep dive, that's for sure. A reminder that belief is a double-edged sword. It can be a source of strength, but also lead us down some pretty dark paths.
Yeah. As you continue to dig into all this, the articles, the videos, the discussions, think about your own beliefs. How will they shape your understanding of the world? How do they influence your choices? It's a question we all need to ask ourselves.